Hello, and welcome to A Gap in Justice, your podcast for anything crime-related. I am Sean, here with my wonderful, not angry at me at all, sister, Lindsay. How you doing today, Lindsay?
I am angry at you. We are a week behind.
Yeah, we are a
How
week
come
behind.
You keep rescheduling?
I'm
important.
I'm a very busy human
you're not.
being. I have very many things to do.
No, you don't.
And, yeah. So, we are bringing you a story that I have not heard very much about. I've heard a tiny bit. I saw a few pictures on my Asked. And I'm very intrigued by just the first part of everything.
I showed him a picture and he said, "Oh, she looks really young. She killed her boyfriend?" I said, "No, that's a different person."
Yeah, my first picture was definitely her and a guy. And I assumed that was the guy she killed because that's generally what you see first. Mm-hmm. But it was something even crazier. So we're going to put in, we should probably put in, right?
No, at this point, it's just...
It's going to be a harsh story, guys.
Anything we talk about is going to be a little bit off the cuff, I think.
Yeah, so if you don't like things that are pretty extreme, you can listen to one of maybe... Our first one, that one's not that bad. So
it's about a kid. Yeah, it is.
Okay, well, I mean...
Listen to our second one.
Yeah, listen to our second one. Health. Yeah, okay. So, all right. So, let's get right into it. Linz, you want to take us into it?
Yeah, so this is I want to read the title of the newspaper clipping. So, okay. Cheerleader cleared of baby's murder. Teen who buried newborn in backyard sobs as jury finds her not guilty of murder and manslaughter. So today we're talking about Brooke Skylar Richardson, age 20. I posted on the Instagram, I posted a picture. I always try to do a preview picture. And honestly, I really, really, really did not want to do this case. And I didn't want to do this case because she reminds me of Casey Anthony. Okay. And Casey Anthony makes me angry.
Yeah.
And it's very similar. The case is very similar. And she was also found not guilty. So this is so recent. Her verdict actually came out a week and a half ago. So she was found not guilty. Looking at this picture right here, so she was pregnant in this picture with the baby. So the baby is actually the victim. Her newborn is the victim in this crime. And she was pregnant in this photo. Obviously, the photo on the right is her at court. So she was ultimately charged with manslaughter, child endangerment, and abuse of a corpse. And on September 12th, she was found not guilty of all of those. Well, actually, I take that back. She was found guilty of abuse of a corpse. So that was on a Thursday. She was found guilty of that. On the Friday, she went to sentencing and she was sentenced to probation, which I'm angry about that.
How old is she?
She's 20 now.
Okay.
When this crime happened, it was May of 2017, so at that time she was 18.
Okay.
So, it's been a few years in the making. But yeah, I mean, this is actually makes me really, really mad. So this is an Ohio case. This is out of Ohio. I don't know a whole lot about Ohio laws, but... she was found guilty on abuse of a corpse, and max of that is 1 year. So apparently you can abuse a corpse and you're only going to go to prison potentially for a year. She didn't even get that. So she just got probation.
That's a very strange verdict in general. Abuse of a corpse and you get nothing else besides it?
Yeah, they had no manslaughter and no child endangerment.
So is that law you think for people who go into used to grave rob and stuff and mess with corpses and stuff or something?
They could, but yeah, it's also as a result of if you kill somebody and then I do something to try to get rid of your body. So this is what so actually with her, so she what she claims, obviously, and what the prosecution claims are two different things. But their prosecution is alleging that she tried to burn her baby. She tried to cremate the baby.
Oh, okay.
So this is where abuse of a corpse comes in. So yeah, if I murder you and then I try to cut off your limbs, they could add it. It's like an enhancer.
Oh, okay.
Which makes it even odder that hey, we're not going to charge you, or we're not going to say you're guilty of that, but you are guilty of this.
Yeah, what? That's very strange. You're not guilty of murder, but you're guilty of messing with the corpse.
Yeah.
That's that would make me think she saw her dead already and she tried to get rid of it for someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's really weird that they would not, I don't know. So keep going, Liz.
So they've talked about Brooke actually hid her pregnancy the entire time. I mean, you can kind of, like, if you look at her here in this picture, I mean, I was always taught, like, you don't ask somebody if they're pregnant. But she does have a little bit of a belly, I think, in this picture. It said she was about 6 months pregnant in this picture. So she didn't tell anybody she was pregnant. She gave birth to the baby in secret when the baby was about 33 weeks. So you're supposed to carry a baby to 40 weeks. Yeah. So the baby's about almost 2 months early. Essentially, though, 33 weeks is not that early. The baby could have survived. Now, Brooke didn't have any, like, prenatal care or things like that, so that's something we'll talk about later that comes into question. But, the prosecution is alleging that the baby was healthy and fine, and she buried it in her backyard.
Wow.
After she tried to burn it. Brooke in the defense is alleging that the baby was stillborn and that she freaked out and ended up burying it, and she denies cremating or trying to cremate the baby or anything like that.
Wow, I'm interested in a lot of the things here, so I'm excited to hear what else you have to say.
Yeah, so, and the crazy thing too is she actually named the baby. So the baby's name is Annabelle.
Okay.
And she told nobody that she was pregnant. She said she gave birth to a stillborn girl on the toilet at her family home in Ohio. And that after waiting for the child to, quote, wake up, and didn't, she then buried it in the backyard. So she was arrested 2 months later when she told a doctor what she had done. So if you have a baby, there's some pretty clear signs medically that you've had a baby.
Oh, like yeah, if you go to get a checkup. Oh, yeah.
So, the other really interesting thing about it, too, is that, so she had seen a doctor prior, and the doctor had told her that she was pregnant. And she's like, no, there's no way. I'm not pregnant, blah, blah, blah. And she kind of just ignored it. Like, she acted like she wasn't. Part of it, too, is, it's another picture down the road, but she had a boyfriend at the time, but apparently that boyfriend was not the father of the baby. Okay. So she kind of just ignored the situation.
I think it's actually our next one. It is. There he is. Okay.
Yeah, that was allegedly her boyfriend at the time. And then, this prom picture is like a huge deal. This kind of circulates around because, people are like, look, you can tell she's clearly pregnant, blah, 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 things like that. She is more petite, too, so I think, obviously, if you're more petite, you're going to show a little bit more.
Me being visually impaired, I can definitely tell she's pregnant in these pictures. Like, she's popping. Yeah. The biggest thing I was going to ask was where she had the baby. Because it's
at her
really...
home.
Yeah, because it's really... Yeah, I heard you say that because it's really hard to... I would say it's really hard to get rid of a baby without anyone knowing if you are having it at the hospital, obviously. So I was like, that's really weird. So she did it literally on the toilet.
Yeah. So she went to the doctor. The doctor told her she was pregnant. She was like, no way. She kind of just ignored the situation. I mean, it was to the point where, like, doctors' offices were calling her, like, trying to get her to come in for prenatal care, and she just ignored it. So, she ended up having the baby on the toilet. And, this is where it turned into... the prosecution is saying that she essentially buried her child alive. The defense is saying that it
was stillborn.
It was stillborn, yeah. Part of why I wanted to talk about this is looking at, like, okay. Ultimately, is she still responsible for her behavior? So she didn't tell anybody that she was pregnant outside, like, some people don't even think... A lot of people think her mom was very much involved in this and, like, helping her hide it and even helped her bury the baby. There's a lot of speculation with that.
Oh, wow.
Her father actually testified in court that her eating disorders and her, like, weight fluctuation meant it was difficult for her family to tell that she was expecting a baby. So her dad tried to say, like, she has a history of her weight going up and down, and as a result of that, they just could not tell that she was pregnant. I mean... I don't know, she did end up telling the doctor that she was, or she ended up telling a doctor what she did. Like, she had this baby, and then, this is when the police got involved and investigated. This was like 2 months after the baby was born. The prosecution alleged that Brooke ended up killing her because she just did not want the baby intervening with her perfect life. They also claimed that she set fire to the baby. And so apparently a forensic pathologist said that the bones appeared charred. Okay. The pathologist later withdrew that claim, but not before the police had interviewed her and repeatedly told her that they knew she did something with fire, and she ultimately confessed to attempting to try to burn the baby. So there's a lot of controversy surrounded that. Defense is saying that the police made her say that, but this forensic pathologist thought that the body appeared charred. There was a picture of the baby's remains that I just didn't include because
I don't want to see that. Yeah, it's
horrifying.
It's hard. That's hard to look at for sure.
Brooke's attorneys are arguing that the confession was coerced, that she denied burning or harming the baby several times before that confession came around. And then there's a new part that comes in. So they're saying that her personality disorder means that she's eager to please, and she might have just told police what she wanted to hear. So, I think the problem that I have with this case is, like, I tend to be very simple. Like, if somebody did something, hold them responsible for their behavior, and
of course.
I think stuff is just being thrown in here now. Like, well, she had weight fluctuation, so we didn't know. Oh, she has a personality disorder, so she's eager to please. So she told the police, but she didn't really do it. And she, and like, at what point are you still responsible for your own behavior?
I have a very interesting question. So if a mother knows they're pregnant and they do things that could harm the baby and don't get doctors' help, like, the prenatal things at the doctor, do they get, like, charged for that normally? Or no, is that just like, oh, you're the mom of the baby, you can do what you want? Like, if they're, like, smoking a lot, if they're, like, drinking a lot, like, do you get in trouble for things like that or no?
I mean, I think the problem with that is it's really hard to prove that stuff. So,
Okay.
do you have evidence of the mom drinking? Do you have evidence of the, and so I think unless you actually have that evidence of it, it's different. And then, is something wrong with the baby? Can you prove that the mom's drinking is as a result of what the baby's defect is?
So technically they could.
Sure, absolutely. Okay. But, let's say the baby's born perfectly fine, and then are they really going to go after somebody if the baby's fine? Like,
no.
Yeah, essentially the mom was drinking and doing whatever, but, the child custody, DCFS, Division of Family Services is already so congested. Yeah. Like, they're not going to go after a mom if the baby is essentially fine.
Yeah.
Even if maybe they're really not.
I mean, it makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going back to about 2 weeks ago. Prosecutor said it was convenient for Brooke to have given birth to a dead baby and asked jurors just not to believe her. Like, it just sounds really convenient that she hid this pregnancy the entire time, and now when she actually gives birth, the baby was stillborn.
Yeah.
Defense is saying that that's ridiculous, and they referred to a text message the morning after the birth and burial where Brooke apparently texted mom and said she was speechless with how happy she was because her belly was back. I don't know why the defense thought that was, like, a good thing to put in. Like, that sounds like you're guilty.
Yeah, that sounds like a strange thing to...
I'm really happy my belly is back.
To be on the side of the person trying to defend you?
Yeah.
That sounds insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so I have another question about her pregnancy.
Yeah.
So she gave birth at 33 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a way for her to, like, induce that birth or something to have a birth early? Or is that just was it just natural fate that she had a...
I mean, it seemed natural, but, part of the thing, and let me actually look at my note to find it, but part of the thing is, so they're trying to say as a result of her eating disorder, that potentially that's why she gave birth early.
Okay.
Yeah. And that her weight and health problems may have affected the baby's development already. Okay. And as a result of that, she could potentially, I mean, part of it too is, essentially they found bones, of the baby. They didn't really have, this was 2 months later that they found the baby.
Yeah, so it's pretty decomposed.
Yeah. So part of it is, she didn't get prenatal care. So she could have essentially had something wrong. The baby could have had something wrong with her. And they would have never known or realized. Like, something could have induced her early pregnancy as a result of something wrong, but she never knew anyways because she never got prenatal care or went and did it.
This is going to sound really horrible, but did she bury the baby, like, just normally? Like, not in anything or anything?
Nope, just, buried it in the dirt in her backyard.
If she wasn't guilty, in my mind, if you're having even if you hate the baby and it's stillborn, you're like, oh my God, I'm so nervous, wouldn't you at least wrap it up, put it in something to, like... Yeah. Does that make sense?
I just think at 18, like... And I'm 33 now, and I still go to my mom for things, but... You know, if I was 18 and I had this surprise pregnancy, which I don't think was so surprise, but I feel like I would run to my mom and be like, oh my God, what do I do?
Oh, for sure. You know? Especially you're so young. Obviously, your mom's had kids. Like,
the funny thing, though, about that is that the prosecution thinks that that's exactly what happened. And mom was kind of the spearhead to say, yeah, we should get rid of the baby. So that's kind of the interesting piece of it, too, is they're actually saying that they think mom is a lot more involved than... It's, you know, and they don't have any proof of that, but, you know, they definitely think that mom is a lot more involved.
Interesting.
The defense really concentrated on the retracted findings of the pathologist and that the police continued to press with the burning theory when it was pretty clear that no burning took place. I mean, again, the body was pretty decomposed and, you know, the statement was retracted, so I don't know. The jury only deliberated for 3 hours, and they returned asking for a simplified definition of abuse of a corpse and whether it is against the law to bury a body in your yard without knowledge. What?
That sounds like what I would think. That sounds like what a lawyer would do, is like trying to find this loophole that makes no sense.
Hey, is it against the law to bury a body in your yard? What?
Yeah. What if it's a body from my family? What if I have permission for the body?
So if you die, basically it's saying if you die, can I bury your body wherever?
In my backyard?
Yeah, can I do that?
No.
That's what they asked.
That's not a thing.
I don't know. Let's Google it.
Don't you have to, like... That's why you have plots and
I'm pretty sure
things.
It was illegal. Like, you can't just bury people. Like, technically, you're not even allowed to, like... If you cremate somebody, you're not allowed to spread their ashes in certain places. Like, that's... Like, if you go to a national park, like, you're not supposed to leave them there. Like, that's, like, illegal, technically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you definitely can't bury somebody in the backyard. Your own backyard. I don't care if it's your backyard or not.
Were they renting? That's a big deal too.
I don't think so. I think it was their own home.
Trying to lighten it doesn't matter, okay? Trying to lighten it up, people. This is a hard topic to talk about sometimes.
So, the other reason, like I said, I really didn't want to do this case. Like, cases with children make me really sad. But, so in court, Brooke ended up, after the not guilty verdict, she ended up saying, like, I would do anything above and beyond that you ask, and I understand, and I just want to say how sorry I was. I can sometimes be selfish, but I would like to know that I become better in the knowledge that I've upset everyone and hurt so many people with what I've done, and I'm forever sorry, and I'm so sorry. I'm really, really sorry, and I understand.
That sounds not good at all. That doesn't sound like someone who thought about it at all. That sounds like something that, like, I'm like...
You're better in your knowledge that you've upset people and hurt other people. Not that you, like, killed your baby.
You don't feel remorse at all. That didn't sound like remorse.
Because I think in her head, she's really built it up to, like, the baby came out of stillborn. And could you imagine, like, adrenaline does stuff to you. So now you've just delivered a baby. Who's to say she didn't do something to the baby? I don't care if they found them not guilty or not. I think Casey Anthony is guilty too, but we won't talk about that today. Like, that's kind of why I wanted to do this, because I'm like, this reminds me of Casey Anthony. I can't even talk about Casey Anthony for a long period of time because I get so angry.
Yeah, we won't get into her.
Like, you're just out and about walking around.
Everybody
hates her, but
I'm looking at the just pure adrenaline and
I want to just go right on. Now. Who kills their kids? I can't.
All right, let's talk about this picture.
Okay, so this is what, they did quite a lot of, interrogation with her, and you know, like they said, she had a personality disorder. She's eager to please. I mean, she looks kind of scared here, really. If you
she really
look
does.
at it,
yeah, like
you know,
I mean, yeah,
that doesn't look like somebody who's so eager to please. I just don't like when people use mental health as an excuse. Like, there are legit people who need help. Don't try to use that.
Well, I mean,
negatively.
they use both of them. They use an eating disorder, which is nothing to joke about. I mean, you're telling me that there's no way that you're blowing up in only your stomach when you have an eating disorder. Let's talk about that. That's not how a body works.
Yeah, and even if your weight is fluctuating, right? Like,
you're gonna see it in your face first. You're gonna see it in your arms. Like,
yeah, and like even to that extent. So obviously, when I carried my daughters, I both carried them pretty small. Like, you couldn't tell I was pregnant until I was like 9 months.
Besides your belly, yes.
But you could still tell. Like, I don't care how small you are, you could still tell.
I have a friend that just had a baby. Shout out Sam and Hillary. Hillary is probably 100 pounds. She did not. Nothing else got bigger besides her stomach.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it's one of those things.
And that's something that happens with petite women. So if they're petite women, you know, she's petite, and you could tell she was pregnant at 6 months, I could have and there's, of course, no pictures of her any further along. Like, she knew she was pregnant. You feel a baby kicking. You feel movement. You can literally see a baby move across your stomach the further you go along. So, like, she knew this was happening. She chose to ignore it. She had the baby on the toilet.
Yeah, let's talk about the fact that how much hoodies and stuff literally hide pregnant bellies so easily too. Have you ever seen someone wear a hoodie after it?
Yeah,
and stuff?
But you know what? Like, eventually you're gonna know. You're just gonna know. The judge in this case is Judge Donald Oda.
Okay.
And he called her sentence a mandatory community control case, which required at least placing the young woman on probation. He didn't even want to put her on probation. He basically said, I'm required by law to place you on. It's called community control, apparently.
How long is this probation? We talking like...
That means the max I can sentence you today, even with the maximum for this offense, is 12 months in prison. Although he is putting her on 6 months of... Oh, wait, no. I take it back. The maximum he could sentence her to today is 6 months of local incarceration. However, he sentenced her to 3 years of basic supervision and 7 days in the county jail, but she had already had time served, so she's not doing any more jail time. And so he looked at her and said, you're going home today. I firmly believe, Miss Richardson. In fact, I know in my heart that if you had made different decisions in this case, Annabelle would be here today. He said before sentencing, but added that he felt like choices before birth, during birth, and after show a grotesque disregard for life. I'm so confused then.
That sounds awful. He made her sound like a crappy person right there.
But you have to think about it, though, too. The judge is not the one who sentenced her.
Yeah.
The jury came back and said not guilty. So I think that the judge felt a different way. And he was obligated by law to do what he had to. And by law, he could only sentence her to probation.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's going to do 3 years of basic probation. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like it's going to be pretty minimal. I mean, you know. And so...
3 years of probation and then she's just like clean of it.
Yeah, and he said a grotesque disregard for life. Yeah. When a doctor told her back in 2017, she became extremely upset, told the doctor that she could not have the child, and asked that she not tell anybody. And then it was days later she gave birth in the middle of the night. So she seen a doctor when she was like 8 months pregnant, and the doctor told her, like, you're so pregnant.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I'm not. Don't tell anybody. What?
That's a pretty big part of it, too. Like, she's like... So she obviously knows. It's not like she went to the doctor one time when she was just thinking she was pregnant. She just went back and they were like, yeah, we can see a baby in there. Like,
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different things that make this a gap in justice case because, you know, the first question is obviously cremation. Like, you know, it's one thing if your baby came out stillborn and, you know, then you obviously buried her. But the other thing is, like, did you try to obviously get rid of her? And so prosecutors played a recording of a police interview with Brooke. At the end of the interview, she actually talked to her dad, and that conversation was recorded. So this was talked about, and Dad said, honey, what happened? And she said, I tried to cremate the baby. Because they've been disputing this. They're trying to figure out, like, was the baby actually burned? Yeah. And so, The homicide detective who interrogated her said she allegedly used a lighter to set the baby's foot on fire, and the flames got up to the chest before she kind of freaked out and ended up putting them out. But by the time the remains were found, it was just inconclusive. And, obviously her attorneys continue to say she was coerced. It wasn't her. She didn't do it. Blah, blah, blah. Another big fact that was brought up, again, was the eating disorder. So her own brother actually took the stand to discuss their upbringing. He talked about her suffering from a long-time eating disorder. He was also a character witness for his sister, so he talked about family vacations and holidays, but said everything was not perfect in their home. She would hide food and say he would sometimes hear her throwing up. I hate character witnesses, and I know it sounds so dumb, but I hate character witnesses because, you know what? I don't care if you guys went on family vacations and holidays. That's not why we're here. I don't care if she hid her food. I don't care if you sometimes heard her throwing up. Like, she potentially killed her child, and you're being her character witness. What?
I mean, I see it's her brother. He obviously doesn't want to.
So if it's your brother, is it really valid?
No. I wouldn't accept
if
you going up and being like... If somebody said I did
something like that, would you believe it?
It depends if I talk to you, I guess.
But if I told you I didn't do it, you probably would go up there and be a character witness. I just don't think that that's a valid
That's what I'm saying.
thing.
I don't think that them talking about them on family vacations or something has anything to do with the case at all. Like, I don't care about your family vacations. I want to know about those months leading up to having the baby. That's what I don't care about 5 years ago when you guys went on vacation. I don't care about 3 years ago when you went on vacation. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's one of those things where that's invalid points. I don't care. I don't care about your family. I care about, obviously, mental health. But if the first thing she says after having a baby is, I got my stomach back, then...
That brings us to the next point.
Yeah.
So, her incriminating texts.
You're welcome,
On court, prosecutors presented numerous texts. So, she allegedly sent to mom. Mom claimed she didn't know her daughter was pregnant. Okay, whatever. So, one of them said, I'm literally so excited for dinner to wear something cute. Yay, my belly is back now. Now I'm taking this opportunity to make it amazing. So, this was like 24 hours after the baby died. They also said that she texted her mom the day after she buried the child. She had gone to the gym and was documenting her weight loss in photos. She said, I'm literally speechless with how happy I am. My belly is back. Oh my God. I am never, ever, ever, ever letting it get like that again. You're about to see me look freaking better than before. Oh my God. And she had one more to her boyfriend the morning after the baby's death. Last night was the worst ever, but I'm feeling so much better this morning. I'm happy. Does this sound like somebody who feels remorseful? I don't care if your baby was stillborn or not.
That literally sounds crazy.
Wouldn't you feel remorseful?
First of all, how would you... Like, there's so many things running through my mind. First of all, you said, is this a picture of her, like, that she's posting? Or is this just texts?
They're texts, but yeah, she did post, like, a weight loss, like, her in the gym to mom. Yeah.
How is she gonna be like, okay, you're gonna go from having a baby in your belly to not having a baby in your belly? Mm-hmm. And think that, like, you're miraculously just have your stomach. But again, the mom claimed that
she didn't know.
It's 100% sounds like the mom knew. Mm-hmm. Just based on that right there, the mom knew, in my eyes.
Oh, yeah. People definitely think. This is the other thing, too. So, obviously the police interview was played. She allegedly told police that she didn't return the doctor's phone calls because she was scared. I didn't want to have the baby. I really didn't know what I planned to do. She also told the police that she looked into an abortion, but it was just too late to have one. She denied that she performed an abortion on herself. That kind of goes into your question of what you asked, like, can you induce your pregnancy? They also alleged that she intentionally killed the baby, despite the fact that the medical examiner was unable to determine a cause of death. They also alleged that she searched how to get rid of a baby upon finding out that she was pregnant.
Whoa. That's even Whoa. Uh-huh. That's intense.
So, this is another part, too. So, I just, I can understand being young and scared. I can empathize. I try to empathize in every situation. Like, I try to be positive. I try to empathize. But, this is another thing that I had found. So, a pathologist testified that Brooke was sexually abused when she was 12, arguing that then this trauma is ultimately what led to the personality disorder. It made her feel like she must comply with authority figures. She had a difficult time confronting authority. She had a difficult time speaking up for herself. What's most sad about this is that she's not able to protect herself. She's not able to defend herself. They insisted that the video of the defenseless, so they're saying she's defenseless here, telling police interviews she heard the baby making sounds after she gave birth and still burned her with a lighter. That proved her disorder. But we could, like, go off on a tailspin of a bunch of different places. Like, does the hospital have a duty to be able to track her, knowing that she's pregnant, knowing that she didn't have prenatal care, knowing that she's 18 and left? I mean, probably not.
My first thing is, like, where are your parents? Where is your brother?
You know, they're very much trying to claim that they knew nothing about the situation and that because she had so much weight fluctuation that they had no idea that she was pregnant.
You can't, first of all...
Your child has a personality disorder. You're claiming she has a personality disorder. So wouldn't you feel like you would check on her more?
You can't tell that there's something buried in the backyard? You can't tell that your grass is buried? Or dug up?
Honestly, I really feel like on Brooke's end and on Mom's end, I could see the dad and, like, brother not necessarily pay attention like that. But from the relationship it seems like Brooke and her mom have, I think that they both just literally thought this was going to go away.
And that you think they look really close? Like, they're pretty close? The Brooke and her mom? You think they're, like, really close? Okay.
Yeah. And I think they just both thought this was going to go away. I have no idea how they thought this was going to go away. You know, it's situations like this that I'm like, couldn't you just have the baby and give it up for adoption? Like, do you realize how many people would want their own child and can't?
Yes, that's crazy. All right, well, we're going to move on to the next picture. What is this, Linz?
So this is one of her court hearings.
Okay.
This is her going into court. You know, she looks sad. She looks withdrawn. She looks like a grieving... I can't even say mother.
You say grieving mother? Yeah.
That actually makes me sick to say that. Yeah, I mean, she looks like...
I would say she looks lifeless. Like, she looks very zoned out, and she does not, like, she literally looks
I think it's more about, like, she's had to deal with this for 2 years, and there's other things that she would prefer to be doing.
Yeah.
Over going to court. And I don't feel like there's much remorse, and I don't feel like she has had to take any responsibility for any of her behavior, and I am angry about that. That makes me pretty angry. I know, too, I was just looking up statistics. I know you and I had talked a little bit, too, about... There's actual statistics that say if you are young, you are white, you are female, your odds of getting off are much higher, you know, and that actually is disgusting when you think about it. You know, I found some statistics that said as of June 2018, 95% of all prisoners were male and only 5% were female. So that makes a big point too. Like, our criminal justice system is not used to convicting women. They just don't. I think that juries see them as victims more than they see them as the perpetrator, and that... I
mean, it makes sense. You think about all the big serial killers, how many of them are women?
You know what I mean? But like, yeah, no, I agree.
There's only a few. Like, the big ones that you think about are like Dahmer and stuff, and they're white males. Yeah. Like, it's one of those... The one thing I noticed about this picture is her hair looks very nice, and she has a lot of makeup on, or like she like has a lot of makeup on, and like looks nice for court. Do you think that's like a persona she put on, or do you think she just like is like that?
Well, you know what's funny is she, in my opinion, in this picture looks more. She doesn't look as done up as she normally does. Okay. I mean, they show a lot of pictures of her with like lots of makeup and her hair done. I think that this is very muted. Okay. That's part of it though too, like juries have convicted people because they don't like the way they look. Yeah. They don't like the way that they present themselves. They don't like them being pretty. So I feel like she actually kind of presents more
normal.
Yeah. You know, her hair's kind of done. She has some makeup on, but you know, of course she's not smiling or laughing or walking in or things like that. I mean, Amanda Knox is a great example. You know, Amanda Knox was smiling at the crime scene and doing cartwheels and things like that. And they really, you know, they really took her to town in the newspaper because of that stuff. So, you know, I mean, obviously it's best for you to just come into court this way. But yeah, they say like they don't, you know, you're not normally going to put on a bunch of makeup and present yourself nicely.
That's
you're
that's
going to
definitely
court.
a different aspect I don't even think about. Is like people are people.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, the witness or I guess the jury is gonna look at you and be like, oh, how do they
They're
look?
judge you.
Like,
I mean, if you think about it, like, I know some people are like, I don't judge people ever, but I think our mind does it whether you realize it does it or not. You can look at somebody and think something about them right away based on something they're wearing or something they're doing. And yeah, I mean, there's research done like about the way you dress and the way you go to court and the way you present yourself, I mean, there's some like known serial killers who will be like smiling during their court trial, and the jury's watching everything that you do, so
yeah, because I mean, if a 20-year-old girl who looks, let's be blunt, she's a nice-looking, petite, blonde girl that is bawling because she feels so much, quote-unquote, remorse.
Right.
Obviously, I'm going to feel harsher for that.
Sure.
Than...
Well, and we talked a few episodes ago about jury selection. So if you're the defense, what kind of people do you think you're going to put on the jury?
I mean, white people, I'm assuming.
Sure, but you're also going to put people on there who you feel like have experienced a lot of remorse. Like, they're going to feel bad for her situation rather than feeling angry about her situation. So, well, I would probably put men on there. I don't think men feel the connection of, like, childbirth. Obviously, they can't experience it. So I think if I was an attorney, I would make sure there were more men on there, because a man can't, a mom, sure, you could put a woman on there, but I think if you put moms on there, a mom's going to be pretty offended about...
You think it'd be a little harsher?
Yes, absolutely. I know if I was on there, I would be harsh,
Yeah.
It takes a lot. Like, you're growing a person inside you, and a lot of people really like that and enjoy that experience. And now she completely ignored it and then took this poor baby and buried her, Yeah. Maybe if she would have got prenatal care, she wouldn't have been stillborn. And that's, I think, the part that makes me really angry about this case, is that I still think she's responsible. I think you got no prenatal care, and you had potentially these eating disorders, and maybe if you would have gotten care and not ignored the situation, the baby would have not been stillborn, if that's what you think. I don't, she could have been okay, and you could have given the baby up for adoption. You could have had other choices, and you decide to make this choice, and now a jury has found her not guilty. She's going on probation for just 3 years, and then she can essentially move on with her life. And I don't think that that's fair.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me is it sounds like they're trying to bring up mental health and different things. Mm-hmm. And I feel like as an 18-year-old, if you know your child has these disorders, I would be trying to get them help.
Yeah.
And I think if that is the truth, that's the reason why this happens. I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't. Then the parents are partly responsible for not helping her through this.
Sure. And, in other systems or other places, I mean, parents have actually been charged as well. I don't think that there was a whole lot of, like, they couldn't prove or tie that mom knew or things like that.
Yeah.
And so they weren't able to do anything like that. But, ultimately, I get to the point where I'm like, are you still responsible for your behavior? So whether the baby was stillborn or whether the baby was breathing, if the baby was breathing, it's even worse,
Well, yeah,
you really
obviously
did murder your child, and you're getting away with that.
If it's a stillborn, it's less harsh.
But I still think that she's responsible because she did zero prenatal care.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's why I asked.
And essentially,
that's why
the baby could have been okay.
If someone could get in trouble for, like, doing things that could hurt the baby within them, obviously that's a thing that I would try to get them obviously in trouble. So, all right. Yeah. I really liked the conversation, Linz. I think we're going to wrap it up here. This is when she found out she was not guilty. Oh, okay. So I kind of hate her. We're going to skip. We loved the conversation. Let us know what you guys think about the case, honestly. This one is definitely a harder one because, it's a young girl who, it's a very harsh reality of what happens. I think that's why she got off, and that irks me in my soul. Of course, we've talked about either the criminal justice system is going to work the way it's supposed to, or we might as well not have one at all. And the justice system really failed Annabelle. Yeah. So, yeah, that's crazy that she named her. So yeah, so we'll wrap it up here. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We love you guys. You have any last words that are positive? Maybe you lift their spirits up a little bit?
I am so angry right now. I can't even talk.
I love you guys. Peace out. Take it easy.